right, we're going to move on now, still on the subject of finances, but now how to prepare for January. Of course, in Kenya here, we've given it the synonymous, the infamous name of January.
Yeah.
But, you know, someone commented, we know January is always going to come. We know it's the very first month of the year. So in 2020, to be talking about January, in many ways is a measure of showing our own indiscipline and lack of planning.
Yes.
So that's what we want to talk about today, especially when it comes to things like school fees as well, rent, you know, just life expenses in general. And of course, we can expect in the new year increased prices for school books, perhaps an increase in your rent as well, increase in the cost of living. So how prepared are you for January 2020? That is the question we're asking here today. To introduce my guest here, I have Joseph Wachira Kimani, who's a consultant at IMNA and JIMNA. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you.
I also have Adasa Chacha, who's a centenaire, meaning you are an expert investor. Can we call you that?
I can't say I'm an expert. Every day I'm learning, but so far so good. I'm happy where I am.
Okay, okay, all right. So Adasa and Wachira here with me. So this last minute rush in January, what are your sentiments about the way we find ourselves stuck and hungry in January? Is it truly just indiscipline?
Yes, I think it's indiscipline and just being failure to plan, because you know January of course has like 5 weeks. It's like the longest. It's a long one, and then it's dry, it's so hot, yani shida ni mingi. So if you plan yourself well, you'll just live comfortably. You won't get that concept where everyone is usually just like, in January sina pesa. Wewe sema we mwenyewe we hauna pesa, unajua?
Yeah.
Some people have planned for their lives. So
it's true.
I think you need to plan for it, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not even about just like waiting, you know, until end month and determining that you're not going to overspend. It's literally you have to set aside a plan for it.
Yeah.
How soon should you start planning for January? Because this is the time where we want to, we are panging all the chapos and kuku we're going to eat over Christmas. You know, people want to travel. And of course, then there's an opportunity cost. So at what point should you start really planning for January?
I think the best time to start planning is beginning of the year. Where you're able to set aside and know, come next year, what are you going to do? Because you can't separate December and January, because there's a spending that comes in December. So if you don't plan for December, you're going to eat up what you're supposed to have spent in January.
Yeah.
You eat up in December.
Okay.
And most of, one of the other weird statistics is that December we are paid early.
Yes.
December we are paid early. So we are paid 20th or before 20th. And so when people come and say that January has 60 weeks, it's true, because you are paid early. So most people, what they do is that when you go to Christmas, you spend all you have without putting into consideration that what you are paid in December was supposed to have taken you through to January. So you find that even the bills for January are not catered for. And the reason is you went to December, spent all the monies and probably got into debt that you're going to take another 6-7 months to get out of. So the best thing to do is start planning early. Come January and come and say, if I'm going for a holiday, how much money do I need for a holiday? Where am I going for holiday? Or you don't even have to go for holiday in December. If you go for holiday either in November or go for holiday
January,
in
February.
end
It's a
of
lot
January.
cheaper too.
If I could go for February,
And
I mean,
not as crowded.
And not as crowded.
Yes. So I think it's more of a planning factor. If you don't factor this, you get to Ushago and okay, we have this weird trait that you have to travel all of us up country. You get to up country and the big boys from Nairobi have arrived. And become a spending spree. So I think the best thing is to know that January is coming. You are paid early. Pay the bills. In fact, if you're able to pay your rent, pay everything else by 20th of December, the better.
For January. That would be very smart.
Because any money you go with after that becomes your excess. But if you go with the entire gunny bag full of money, you're going to eat hard school fees.
It's interesting because I had a guest here recently who suggested, because we get paid early, or most people get paid early in December, that you should ask your employer to only give you half of your salary And then the other half, waishikilie hadi January. Would you guys agree to that?
No way, because
no way.
Yeah, honestly, because you should be disciplined enough. I actually think, my opinion, you shouldn't even touch your December salary at all, because if you've planned yourself from January, you should have the money set aside to spend in December. And this thing of going on holiday in December, honestly, people have to sit back and think about it, because prices are overrated.
Right.
Yeah, you go and spend a lot of money. Like, you see, if you'd have gone for holiday in February or January, perhaps, or November, you'll spend half the amount of what you'd spend in December.
For the same place,
Yes,
same quality, same everything.
So you just need to plan yourself from January, honestly.
Okay. Washira, would you agree to half of your salary in December?
Going to the employer? No, because I think it's like you're succeeding your discipline issues to your employer, which I think is it's a weird thing. But what about people who are not employed, who hold the money for them?
Yeah.
And I think we have a bigger percentage who are self-employed or they're into business. So the best thing is it's a discipline issue. Because if you don't do it, nobody can do it for you.
That's true.
Yes.
Well, someone here says, hey, Joyce, loving the show. I generally think if you're planning for activities for December, you have to start saving in August, they say. Interesting. Or earlier in the year, like you're saying. You could even decide that your December salary, you're literally not going to touch it. So you're saving for December, you know, every other month. All those other 11 months of the year, you've been putting aside a little bit, you know, for whichever way you decide to do it. I think the point that we're trying to emphasize here is on planning. Well, we're going to continue this discussion after our break. And one of the other things we're going to talk about then is, even if you're saving that money, what do you do? Because January you expect prices to rise, right? So how do you factor that price increase? What do you do with it? Now for nyinyi mwenye mnachukua madeni in December, nani atawasaidia? Mtaambia nini watu? We're going to be looking at that as well when we come back from the break, as well as be looking at your feedback about lowering dowry prices to 30K, as our clerics in Garissa have suggested. This is Full Circle with Joyce. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. I'm here with my guests, and we've been talking about that financial crunch that we all experience in January. Oh, well, let me not say it's Takis or Nini. Where? Yeah, I'm going to plan. Not we all, and that some people experience in January, and we're trying to, you know, figure out what are some of the different ways we can avoid that crunch. Anyway, as we get back to our discussion now today here on Viewpoint, Mwangi wa Shamata says, some things are just unavoidable. How do you ensure you don't exhaust all your money during the festivities? I hear you, Mwangi. Enye ni ngumu.
Kujipanga, imagine, Joyce. Honestly,
tuzoe.
From January to December, you have a good 11 months. So set aside some money, and then my opinion is, don't put your money idle in the bank. Put it somewhere where it will earn you some interest as well.
But so, you know, now we're so scared as Kenyans of being burnt, like of those places, those investments not working out well. What would be some of the places you can suggest people to put it in? Because also you don't want a place where your money is just going to be tied completely, and so come December you can't even take it out. What would you suggest?
Like for Saiton, they have the money market fund. Whenever you need your money within 24 hours, you'll get back your money.
And the interest is decent?
11% per annum, yeah.
Okay.
At 11% per annum. That would be one option, because you don't want your money being idle.
Right.
Also, they have the high yield solution where you can put your money for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah, the returns are at 16% per annum.
Okay, so you can look into your money market fund then to try and
just try and get
build
some
something
extra, so that iko ile ukimaliza uko na ile ka extra, you don't have that fixed amount.
Okay. Stephanie Kamuntu says, good morning, Joyce, what a good show. If you're planning to go on holiday, then start planning earlier, as from May. So it sounds like a lot of people are also trying to buy you guys' advice here about preparing for this early. But you know, and my heart also really goes out to dads and parents because there's just a way that your kids can bring you pressure like no other.
But it depends how you raise your children up, because I know of some very wealthy people, their kids don't just get what they want. Like, whatever your parents say, that is what will go. You'll go with that flow. Like, you have no option. It's either that, or you take a chill pill.
Okay, let me read some more feedback here from our SMS line. Caroline, watching us from Juja, asante sana for your feedback. You say you're with us until 10 a.m. I think this is the best way to go. This will reduce political pressure and create peace in the country. Someone is saying that concerning this proposal to have losers in presidential elections now be nominated. And what do you guys think about that?
I think we have very high expectations on politics. I'm not a fan of politics, but I think we have this mentality that I have to be the person who has to be controlling resources or something else. And I think that's what now brings all these mix. Because you can't demand that you must be in a position of authority. Because if Kenyans cannot put you in that position, because maybe they question your character or they question your commitment, I think it's time to...
Or even they just found someone better. Not that you're bad, but just they chose someone else.
Or the other person was able to convince people better. He may not be better, but he was able to put up across a better discussion than you did. So I think it's good that when you're able to accept what it is, and you have 5 years to go and regroup.
Asiyekubali kushindwa si mshindani is what our people would say. Moving on to something else here. Hey Joyce, loving the show. I generally think if you're planning activities for December again, start saving in August. Kiprono Mutai from Nakuru says, I used to travel home and enjoy all the December holidays on February when my children are stable in school, you say. Thank you for that. And then I also have here, someone else says, good morning, Joy. Say hi to our guest. Maisha ni kujipanga, my friend. Na usipoyapanga yatakupanga. It's very true.
Very true.
Do your budget before kutwanga pesa. Am I allowed to read this? Guy, am I allowed to read this though? Do your budget before kutwanga pesa twa nani holiday. Kinyinyi watu mtanimaliza kama gitari Venus Kinyozi we. Watching us from Nyandarua County. Thank you for that feedback and that comment right there. Gosh, okay.
But it's true.
Very true point though. Lazima ujipange, otherwise maisha itakupanga for real.
A good one.
A good one. And you know what, speaking of kujipanga, sometimes people, they think that kujipanga is taking on debt. Right? And in Kenya, maze, access to credit has become so simple. Just through a few clicks on your phone, suddenly you can be very wealthy by the thousands. What would be your advice as far as people managing debt? And if it's even appropriate, so say they want to save their money for December, for January, is it appropriate to take a loan for December holidays?
I don't think it's advisable because you get yourself into debts and mess up another half year trying to recover what you're not supposed to have done. Because what people basically do during the festivities is that you spend, if you are traveling for 3 days, 2 days is going Ushago, 1 day is coming back, and the other half day is that you've eaten, you cannot even turn. So you find that what people look forward to and what makes people get into debt, it's a very small affair compared to the negative effects of that thing. So the best thing would be, if you're able to, if you can't be able to do that big and that grand way of going to Ushago, do it in the simplest way you can. If you can't afford to fuel the car, jump into a matatu, travel. And if you're able to travel mapema, because I look at our friends from Western and from Nyanza, how much they even charged by bus to go there.
But
you must
as we fly.
Yes.
We
Okay.
Talking about.
My apologies. Sorry. But the thing is, the amount of money that people put into this,
No, you're right.
there's an alternative. Like I was talking to our caretaker where I live, and he told me that he's going on leave on 27th. So on 27th is when he's going to Kakamega. At that point, buses will be going to Kisumu and Kakamega empty.
Yeah.
So just that the guy will pay 600, 700. But if you go at Kangemi 23rd, 24th, buses are charging 4,000 shillings to go up for
a bus.
Yes.
Imagine.
So if you're able to plan all these things early, you'll be able to either travel mapema or just talk to the parents and tell them, I'll come 27th, 28th, and do whatever it is. Like for us, we don't do 24th, we do 25th.
Okay.
So you come and remove the pressure where it is, and you're able to have some quality time with family, because I think the actual reason is Christ. It's not about anything else.
Right.
But people come and just overdo it.
Right.
There's so much
Pressure and mbuzi.
I mean,
and for vehicles you don't have one, you hire.
Because you feel like you have to go to Ushago na gari kubwa. You want to justify to your realize what you've been doing
What you do in
Nairobi.
Nairobi. Which I think is, lack of a better word, is plainly stupid.
Yeah.
I know.
I hear you.
And then you shouldn't take a debt to sustain your lifestyle. I find it ridiculous. Like, if you want a certain life, if you can't afford it, achana nayo. Just live within your means. It's never that serious.
Absolutely. Well, before we get ready to wrap up here, talk to me though about how to manage that gap between what you've saved. So you've been disciplined. People have listened to you two today and they've been very good about it. But then January comes with higher expenses. School fees perhaps is on the rise. School books are more expensive. You need new uniforms because your kids grew like 5 inches over the break. You know, how do you then deal with those? So they're not really unexpected, but in a sense, you don't know exactly how much it's going to be. And there's always this sort of inevitable price increase. How would you advise people to then manage that?
Okay, if I can start.
Sure.
There are certain things. It's not just about the money that you've saved. There's also what costs can you reduce. And mostly when you look at something as simple as shopping, if I walk into one of these big supermarkets and everything else, versus if I was to go to a wholesale shop, how much money can I reduce, which will be able to put some few thousands on the table. I'm going to leave some cash on the table. Other things will be, most people in December, you're paid the 13th check. There's what you call either bonus, or if the company was performing well, there's an extra check that you receive. What if that money was planned for in advance?
Yeah.
And able to do this. And also that issue about buying uniforms in January and everything else, it just puts you into a fix. Over the weekend, I went to textbook center in Sarit Center, and it was empty. Basically, it is empty. But if you come to January, people will not even have a space to stand inside that place. Which means what? Even now, the guys who are selling their books and everything else, they are thinking, man, you have no option. You have to buy these books. You have to buy the uniforms. But if you walk to the people who are selling uniforms in town, there's no one who is working there. Guys are basically idle. And that's what now, because price increase is a product of demand. When the demand goes up, chances are everything goes up.
All right.
Yes.
Your final comments as well?
I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews. But what I see, what my siblings do, they actually make sure that before they start even spending that money for holiday, they finish up with everything. They pay their school fees.
Nice.
They buy the textbooks that they require, and they take advantage of promotions. Because right now, there are very many promotions in all hypermarkets. So maybe you'll see like stationery pens going for this amount of money. So you take advantage of it right now. Because of course, come January, all the prices will have shoot up, and you'll end up spending almost like double the amount.
Absolutely. And again, that's Kiprono Mutai from Nakuru, who travels home, but he enjoys his December holidays in February when his kids are stable in school, and that's very we should applaud that.
People should check out this page on Facebook, the 52-week challenge.
Okay.
People are disposing of books like from the previous year, so it's like a good
way to
it's
buy
a good way to buy
secondhand.
secondhand. You just you don't need new books all the
That's
time.
a good tip for you guys. Check that out on Facebook. 52-week challenge.
Yeah.
I see you, Brian Odeo, watching the show as well. And someone else here says, "Morning, Joyce. I can buy the idea of that pastor who says he can join a wedding on a Sunday. Although these ones were just reducing the price. But anyway, you say." You wouldn't mind getting Monday on a service to avoid expenses, and then you'll just buy soda for the congregation. That's Benjamin watching us from Embakasi. I respect that. I'd rather you have a stable, strong marriage than a big, flashy wedding that doesn't survive the relationship. So thank you guys for your feedback on that discussion. Thank you to you, Adasa and Mashira, as well, for tuning and for being here, rather, and having this discussion with me. Right, guys, we need to take a break now as we get ready for our second hour of the show. We're going to be talking about relationships. And as I did mention, one of the things we're going to be looking at is couples working together. Is it possible, or are they literally going to just yank each other's hair out? And then we're also going to talk about how to try again after a failed relationship and what to do specifically after a failed marriage. This and so much more coming up on Full Circle with Joyce. I'll see you at the top of the hour.